and welcome to the September 13th council meeting. We'll have a moment of personal reflection. Thank you. Please stand for the national anthem. Councillor Gardner.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Car ton bras sait porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. We acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Mohawk people of Akwesasne. First item is declaration of oath of office.
At this time, we'd like to invite Mr. Dennis Carr to stand in front of his to-be-soon seat.
Council, would you mind standing, please?
I, Dennis Carr, having been appointed to the office of the council in the city of Cornwall, do solemnly promise and declare that, one, I will truly and faithfully and impartially exercise the office in the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that there is the same force and effect as if it was made under oath. I got my own pen. Thanks.
Congratulations,
Thank you. That's who this is, okay. Close.
Welcome, Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's good to see you. Your hair's a little whiter than it used to be.
Not getting any darker, that's for sure. Go ahead. Roll call.
Mayor Glenn Grant,
Present.
Councillors Claude McIntosh.
Present.
Elaine McDonald.
Present.
Sid Gardner.
Ici.
Dean Hollingsworth.
Present.
Caroline Ebar. Councillors Moïse Dupel. Todd Bennett.
Present.
Justin Towndale.
Present.
Eric Bergeron. And Councillor Carr.
I'm here.
Your first roll, Carl.
Thank you.
Any additions, deletions, or amendments?
Councillor McDonald.
Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull the second consent item into communications, please. The proclamation.
Any other additions or deletions?
I have a few, Mr. Mayor. There is the addition of bylaw 2021-94, which is to authorize a lease agreement with the Cornwall Colts Hockey Club. The addition of bylaw 2021-105, a bylaw to enter into an agreement of purchase and sale for land with in the Cornwall Business Park and to enter into an acknowledgement and agreement regarding land in the Cornwall Business Park. The addition of a new business motion, rights of Indigenous peoples, and those additional bylaws will tender our confirming bylaw to 2021-106.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Councillor Gardner, Councillor Dupel, all in favor? Carried. Any disclosure of interest this evening? See none. Can we have a motion to go in the committee of the whole? Councillor Towndale, Councillor Bennett, all in favor? Carried, thank you. We have a motion for the adoption of the minutes of Monday, August 9th. Councillor McIntosh, Councillor Gardner, any amendments? All in favor? Opposed, carried. Presentation.
We have one presentation this evening, and that is from the St. Lawrence College. And I believe we have Glenn Volberg, President and CAO, to present this evening virtually.
Welcome, Glenn.
Welcome, Mayor Grant. Now, I can't see a thing on our screen. I'm assuming you can see me.
We can see you well.
Okay, and I believe Maureen was going to have my slides put up, so I can't see if they're up or not.
Just give us one moment, Glenn. We're just getting it set up now.
Should I just proceed with?
Glenn, we have made you co-host. Are you able to share your screen, or would you like us to show the presentation? Glenn, can you hear us? You're on mute. Glenn, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now, yes.
And would you like to share your screen for the presentation, or would you prefer us showing the presentation?
Great, if you could show the presentation, that would be fantastic.
Okay, if you
And
can
I'll
bear
just
with me
ask-
just a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Okay, we have the presentation up, Glenn.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I will, when I need the slides advanced, I'll just say advanced slides. So if that works, that'd be great. So thank you very much, and I'd like to thank Mayor Grant and all of council today for the opportunity to participate tonight.
I'm sorry, Glenn, can I pause you for just a second? Our volume here is very low. I'm going to try to adjust it.
Okay.
Okay, can we try that again?
Sure. Is that better? Test.
Bingo.
Good stuff. Thank you. Again, just want to thank Mayor Grant and all of council for giving us the opportunity to participate tonight. Really delighted to be here presenting virtually. You know, the City of Cornwall and St. Lawrence College are long-standing partners, you know, who have supported each other through the years. I believe we share a common purpose, and really looking forward to the opportunity to just share a few things that have been going on at the college, talk about some new programming that's coming down, and then also close with a brief discussion on the theater. So if we could advance the slide, please. So I realize that you folks started with a land acknowledgement as well, but I'm, you know, as representing the Cornwall campus, I hope you don't mind if I also acknowledge that St. Lawrence College, our Cornwall campus, is situated on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee peoples, and may all of us always be grateful to be able to live and learn on these lands. So I'm now on the agenda slide. If folks could go there. So in terms of tonight, just going to share a little bit about your community college, touch upon our strat plan, and then more specifically about SLC and our Cornwall community. A little bit of brief background about myself as well, for those of you that don't know me. I'm in my 10th year actually as president and CEO of St. Lawrence College, and just recently signed on for another 5 years. During the summer, so I'm looking forward to you know, being the president and leading our college with all of our communities for the next 5 years as well. And also, I just want to say how much I respect and enjoy municipal government as well. For those of you that don't know, I used to be involved in municipal government before my college days, and actually worked for Mayor Mel Lastman in the city of North York, and was part of the transition when Mike Harris amalgamated all the municipalities, and so spent a number of years with the city of Toronto as their budget chief. So I have a lot of respect for municipal government. It's the government touches the people the most, and it's not an easy role to play, that's for sure. So. Next slide I have is the slide. It's with all of the numbers and everything on it, and you know, it's the slides maybe about a year old now, but I think it pretty much sums up our college and gives you a good flavor of what we're about. You know, we're one college, 3 campuses: Cornwall, Brockville, and Kingston. We also have 2 partner affiliate schools that not everybody knows about, Alpha International Academy in Toronto and Canadian College in downtown Vancouver. And these 2 private partners of ours recruit and train and teach international students. So, you know, we're roughly, when you factor all of our students in, about 12,000 students and over 100+ full programs. We offer a full suite: micro-credentials, apprenticeships, 1-year certificates, 2- and 3-year diplomas, and we also have 3 degrees, 2 of our own and 1 in partnership with Laurentian University. We employ just over about 1,200 folks, although I think about 2,200 receive a T4 from us during the year, as we have some faculty that teach in the fall and don't teach in the winter, and vice versa. In Cornwall, we generally have anywhere between 180 to 210 employees, including 30 student employees as well. And in our 54-year-old history, and for those of you that are Leafs fans, which probably are none of you, that is the last time they won the cup, but that's also the same age as our college. And during those 54 years, we've graduated over 100,000 folks. About 21,000 come from the Cornwall area that have graduated from St. Lawrence College, and we know that about 16,000 of those grads are currently living in Cornwall and the surrounding area. So, you know, I think you'll agree, quite a reach. And finally, you know, for those of you that are into economic impact, a study that we had a couple of years ago by MC Consulting suggested that our college generates close to $1 billion a year in economic impact annually across Eastern Ontario, right from Kingston to Brockville, right through to Cornwall. In terms of our SLC-M5 and strategic plan, we're in our third year now with this. I'm not going to talk a lot about strat plan because I don't want your eyes to glaze over. But I do want to mention one thing that we're very proud of, and that's when we added our new value of belonging. And, you know, which is something I believe is a shared goal between St. Lawrence and the city of Cornwall. Last week, we launched our new belonging and EDI multi-year plan to address this, you know, this very important initiative in all three of our communities. And for those of you that are interested, you'll be able to, you know, go on our website and you can see our multi-year plan. I think I'll just pause for a second to make sure that people are hearing me and that they're following along.
Everybody's following.
Okay, excellent. So I'm on the sixth slide, which is, you know, SLC in our Cornwall community. Just going to talk about 5 things: enrollment, global engagement, protecting the health of our communities, some programming, and then the Altfield Theatre. So this fall, looks like we have, you know, just about 915, 930. The numbers are still sort of coming in right now from a domestic enrollment, about 152 international students at our Cornwall campus. For about, you know, 1,067 total. I will say that COVID has, you know, been a challenge for us from an international student recruitment for obvious reasons, right? With the border being closed and those types of things. We, pre-COVID, we had 350 international students at our Cornwall campus. Very, very confident. The interest is there. The excitement is there that we'll be back in those numbers and then some once we get through the pandemic. In terms of global engagement, really pleased to say that recently we received a very generous donation from someone who does want to remain anonymous. But what it's allowed us to do is to create a global engagement community development program. And what this is we're hiring a manager to look after this, which is really going to connect our international students with the community, with businesses that need labor help and want to hire our international students. Because our ultimate goal for recruiting international students to our Cornwall campus and to all of our campuses is that once they graduate, that they will want to stay and live here. And I can tell you that, you know, the students that I've spoken to and my colleagues have spoken to, the international students at our Cornwall campus, when they come here, they love it. They, you know, the community opens, like the doors are opened. They love Cornwall. They love what it has to offer, and they want to stay here. But to stay here, we need to get them jobs. And so, you know, I think this is a great program. So we're going to test it out. I think we have funding for a couple of years, and we're pretty confident that this program will be able to sustain itself once that funding is complete. You know, just a little bit about protecting the health of our communities. You know, our health and safety of our students, employees, and our communities is always our #1 priority. And with regards to COVID for the past 18 months or so, I really want to give a big shout out to Dr. Paul and the public health unit. You know, their advice and guidance has been second to none. And Dr. Paul has always been there to answer my questions. If I call him tonight at 8 he'll usually return a call before 8:15, and that's just the type of leader he has been, and he has been a phenomenal support for us. Our campuses have been safe. Over the past 18 months, we've had just under 20 cases in total, and that's all 3 of our campuses over 18 months, with 5 cases at our Cornwall campus. We're the second college in Canada to adopt a vaccination policy, which has pretty much become the standard now. I think, with the ministry announcing it being mandatory, all colleges have obviously gone that way. With our vaccination policy, it means anyone coming to our campus has to be fully vaccinated or have a rapid antigen test 3 days prior to coming to campus. And we've done that for the safety of our students and employees and our community. Recently we had an on-campus vaccination clinic, and again 100% supported by our public health unit. I think it was 65% of all those that attended the clinic, it was their first shot, and so that just goes to show you what a success that was. And I think we will also be hosting another site for vaccination before the end of the month. And so we're pretty confident that the majority of our students will either be fully vaccinated or have 1 dose and have made plans for their second dose, which for us means they have to have it by October 15th. In terms of programming, I'm not going to go through all this. There's a busy slide, but what I'm hoping to show you and demonstrate to you is that we have a number of new programs that we're bringing to our Cornwall campus. Whether it's project management or our 50 micro credentials, the accelerated PSW program that we ran as well with the support of the province. An increase in the number of nursing seats. This September, just last week, was the very first class of our very first standalone nursing degree. So we're offering our own standalone nursing degree. We used to offer it in cooperation with Laurentian. We lobbied hard for that over the last decade. Some things all good things are worth waiting for. But we, thanks to a lot of support from our, from MPP McDonnell and Clark and all Minister Clark and all the support we've had to make this happen. Very pleased to say that we have over 240 students in that BSCM program, and that's in each one of our campuses from Kingston, Brockville, in Cornwall. So really thrilled with that. In terms of upcoming programming, offering a computer programming and food safety and security up in January. If I go to the next slide, looking at future programming in design thinking, cybersecurity, and then I've also listed a number of new program ideas that we're exploring. So no shortage of activity happening at the college. Just wanted to give you an idea of the type and breadth of programming at our Cornwall campus. And then finally, our Altesville Theatre. And before I start on this, I really do want to thank the working group that have been working for months on the Altesville Theatre and the partnership between City of Cornwall and St. Lawrence College. In particular, Maureen Adams and Tracy Bailey and Mark Willow. For SLC, it's been Kathy O'Brien, Eileen DeCourcy, Megan Shepard, and our Dean, Richard Wiggers. These folks have worked very hard to come up with something that I think will be a sustainable plan for the Altesville Theatre. I think you can tell from our programming and what we've done, like the theater, it's not part of our programming as a college. And as folks know or may not know, that's part of our mandate as a college is that we're not actually allowed to run facilities and programs that are not part of our mandate. And yet, I know the importance of the Altesville Theatre. I know the importance of culture and what it means to our community and what it means to economic impact and development as well. You know, the Altsville Theatre is really a jewel in this city. It's pretty something. For those of you that have been to, whether it, you know, be a musical or a play or an event, or have been to our convocation when you have close to 700 people in there, it's an amazing place. And it's important that this facility, you know, remains successful and remains sustainable. So, you know, I'm confident that with what the working group has come up with, will be a model that will be sustainable for both of us as a college and a city. So with that, I think I will stop and pleased to answer any questions that folks may have.
Thank you, Glenn, for the presentation, and I apologize, Kathy, I didn't say hello to you this evening, so welcome as well, Kathy.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? Councillor Gardner.
Good evening, Glenn. Welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Sid Gardner, City Councillor. I know you said that the theatre was not part of your mandate, but it's my understanding that a number of years ago, when the college turned the theatre over to the working group, not the working group you were just talking about, but I sat as chair, vice chair of also theatre for 17 years. And it was my understanding that
Recording in progress.
Sorry? There was an agreement between the college and the city that if Capitol Theatre was shut down, that the college would take care of the theatre on and on and on, almost forever. So when I heard from one of your former CAOs that, and correct it if it's wrong, that there was a profit of $11 million made 3 years ago, I wondered why you were asking us for more money to keep that theater open. And so that's the first question.
Sure. No, thank you for the question. And you know, I'm not aware of something that said that we would look after the theater for in perpetuity. But you know, regardless, you know, in terms of what the college, what its finances are, and those types of things, yeah, the college has to protect itself in terms of its own reserves and build a healthy balance sheet, just like any other business. So. You know, we are what's called publicly assisted now. We're not actually called publicly funded. We're called publicly assisted. And so we need to make sure that we've met all of our current ratios, our debt ratios, and those types of things as well, and build up reserves. So yes, we've been very, very fortunate. I think in the last 8 or 9 years, we've had incredible surpluses because, you know, 10 years ago, we didn't. We were actually, you know, one would say we had negative equity. And in business terms, sometimes that would suggest that you were bankrupt, essentially. So we vowed that for that never to happen again. And you know, so it's important for us as a college to have reserves. You know, look at what we've gone through in the last two or three, you know, 2 years, and what's going to hit us for the next 2 or 3 years in terms of our enrollment. So all I'm saying is that from a college perspective, we need to make sure that we have the right reserves and the right balance sheet to take care of our programming. The theater isn't part of our programming. You know, it just isn't. And so, you know, to be perfectly honest about it, we use the theater, I think, twice a year, once for convocation and once we use the stage for you know, a holiday celebration. But I do recognize how important this theater is to our community, and it's very important. And so, you know, I think what the working group is looking at is essentially just trying to make sure that the theater is covered from a cost recovery basis. I wasn't going to get into the numbers and everything. I think Maureen has that. But if you look at what will eventually be before you, it is a pure cost recovery basis, no money made, zero, that will allow the theater, to be sustainable for the next 19 to 20 years. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's where the theater is in terms of our programming and how we view it.
You did answer my question. Thank you very much for that. And I can remember years ago when we took that theater over, that the province wanted to shut it down because it wasn't part of their program. So I was there for 17 years after that, and it became part of the college. It upsets me when I see people putting hours of work in there for free because the management group was volunteer to have a cost up to a point where I hope it doesn't end up being shut down. And as far as your courses, I did teach a retail and marketing course, and yeah, the people who were from China, I had in my class, were paying good bucks to be able to come to St. Lawrence College and loved the place. So I agreed with what you said there. Thank you for being here, Don. Thank you.
Yeah, no, they do love it, and the theater is a gem. I've been involved in discussions in Kingston with the theater when they renovated the Grand Theater, and I think it was a $22 million project. Like, theaters are very, very expensive, and we already have a gem of a theater, and I think the plan that will be before you is I think a very modest plan in terms of being able to protect this asset for the next 19 to 20 years, because it's a great place.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Glenn? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Glenn Volbrecht. My name is Elaine McDonald, Glenn, and I want to commend you. I see that you have established an Indigenous Centre, and I wonder if you would elaborate a little bit about that. Is that a space or programs, or exactly what does it entail?
Yes, no, thank you. So Indigenous Ways of Knowing and Being is one of our key objectives in our new strategic plan. And so we do have, we've established 3 Indigenous centers, one at each campus, and they are physical spaces where we have developed programming. And these are, very important for us, and it's very important for our Indigenous students to have a place that that they're comfortable in, and we're just in the process of hiring a Indigenous knowledge keeper as well, because it's so important to be able to continue the education for not only our Indigenous students, to provide them space where they're comfortable in, but for all of our students to really learn more about Indigenous ways of knowing and being. So this is a pretty important objective for us. It's right in our strat plan. We're committed to it. We're investing in it. And we're just touching the surface now. And we've got a long ways to go still, but I think we're definitely on the right path, and looking forward to seeing where this will bring us over the next few years. So yeah, they're all 3 spaces at each one of our campuses. So
Sounds wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And another question I have has to do with a free program, carpentry techniques. That sounds intriguing. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
So we've done a number of things to try to really try to engage the community by providing them, introductory to carpentry, introductory to, construction type courses. That's why we do micro-credentials as well. It's really to give folks a flavor for what's available and what those opportunities are. Because sometimes we find that, things just might seem so out of reach for people, or they don't really understand it. And quite often, if you can just get an introductory, whether it's, sometimes it's a class, sometimes it's a short week program, you can really pique that interest, and folks get interested in that, and then actually, sign up for an apprenticeship or sign up for one of our certificate or diploma programs, and it can really have an impact on someone's life and their future. So we've tried to do that. We started that as well at the beginning of COVID, as well as some of our, folks might refer to them as our continuing education courses and general interest, where we had people with knowledge that wanted to offer their services free to the community, and it was our way of sort of giving back.
Excellent. I was hoping you'd say it was a community program. That's important outreach. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Glenn, thank you very much for your presentation. It's good to see that you feel the same way as we do about the college, and you're ready to work with us to keep that in our community. So it's thank you again, and yourself and Kathy, for the presentation.
Well, thank you for having us, and it was a pleasure and an honor to be able to speak tonight with you folks. So thank you so much. Enjoy your meeting.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye-bye.
Moving on to consent reports, Mr. Mayor. The first item is...
Excuse me, just 1 second, please.
Yes.
What I'd like this time, if council is okay, since we had the presentation and Allsville is there, I'd like to have a motion to refer this to administration for a report. Because this hasn't been finalized, it was just a presentation, but I think there's a report that can come from administration to talk about Allsville Theatre and the impact in our community. So, Councillor McDonald, you make...
I would certainly move that administration report on the presentation, but particularly with reference to the Allsville comments.
Second, Councillor Bennett. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Consent reports. The first one is a proclamation recommending that Council proclaim the week of September 20th to 26th, 2021 as Rail Safety Week in the City of Cornwall. CPEG from August. The first recommendation, the recommendation is that Council approve the following items. 116 Pitt Street Inc. at 116 Pitt Street. Sean Smith and Sarah Irwin at 134 Montreal Road. And Centre Charles-Émile Claude at 146B Chevrier Avenue. Next item is a request for removal of part lot control from Falcom Home Construction. Recommended that part lot control be removed from Lot 6 of Registered Plan 52M33, East Ridge Subdivision, and B, that part lot control be reinstated on the semi-detached lots in the East Ridge Subdivision once the subject lots have been created by the appropriate procedure. Next item is a purchase of Handy Transit bus. Recommended that Council approve the purchase of one specialized bus from Creative Carriage through the Metrolinx Transit Procurement Initiative process. Tender 21 T24 Sludge Collector System Replacement. Recommended that this tender be awarded to Eastern Welding from Somerstown at the total bid price of $451,998.87. RFP terms of reference for radio communication consulting services, with a recommendation that Council receive this report.
Thank you. Could I get a motion to approve the consent? Councillor DePel, seconded by Councillor Hebert. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
We have no resolutions, Mr. Mayor, or reports from unfinished business, making our next item the unfinished business listing from September 13th. We are looking for Council to receive this listing.
Motion to receive, Councillor Hebert, Councillor Bennett. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Communication reports. The first one is the Economic Development Activity Report, with a recommendation that Council receive this report.
Motion, Councillor DePel, second by Councillor McIntosh. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Returning to our proclamation from the consent reports is a proclamation for National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. The recommendation is that Council proclaim September 30th, 2021 as National Day of Truth and Reconciliation in the City of Cornwall.
Motion, Councillor McDonald, Councillor seconded, Bergeron. Any, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to raise a couple of questions, and if we don't have answers immediately, we might have them, I'm sure, by September 30th. And the first is in relation to the huge package that AMO gave us, and that's printed in our agenda, about ways municipalities have embraced the various directions of the Truth and Reconciliation Report. I noticed that there are many things that we can do beyond simply proclaiming September 30th as this special day. And I'm wondering if it would be possible, because often when we proclaim a special day, we raise an important, like an appropriate flag. Now, has administration thought of acquiring and raising a flag that day for the National Day of Reconciliation?
Madam CEO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, we will have the orange flag raised at, I think we're contemplating 3 locations. So at the traffic circle at 340 Pitt Street, as well as at the clock tower. On September 30th as well, we will also be in conjunction with the Catholic District School Board, we'll be putting up the same banner, I believe, that was up last year as well. We will also likely have lights in the cenotaph area with the color orange. And I know that we were discussing some of this today. I'm going to look to Ms. Meldrum to see if there's any other items that I am. We're also likely going to promote, I think we'd like to promote, I know that many schools will have children that will wear orange shirts on September the 30th. But we also want to try and promote that as well as a community. We will go out with a media release when we get closer to the date. If there are certain gatherings or functions that might be planned, whether it's in our park or in our community, I think we want to help promote those as well to make sure that everyone's aware. So as we become aware of some of these items, you might see that we're starting to promote them.
Great, so it's a question of staying tuned, and Ms. Meldrum will keep us all updated. That's wonderful. So I'm also wondering if this has crossed your desk in any way. We used to at one point have a committee, it was a committee of council, that was mandated to carry on a liaison with Akwesasne. And I know at one point I was named to that committee. It was early on in my days in council. And it seemed to be so difficult to get anything going that nothing happened. And then eventually the committee just was dropped. And I think now we have more to do with Akwesasne than we ever had before because of the port work. And nobody can doubt that we're doing a lot when they see that warehouse come down. So things are happening. But I think that it might be a good time if we were to bring back the notion of a committee of council that might especially direct its attention to cultural interaction. I mean, the powwow has been so successful with the free bus going back and forth, and so many of our people go over there. And with our burgeoning arts sector, we might get something going with the traveling college, just ideas that we should maybe work on going forward, because we can certainly broaden the basis of our relationship with Akwesasne.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think that that's an excellent point. We can go back and try to, I think, pull out some of the information that we would have had for that liaison committee at the time. But I think we also have some contacts with Akwesasne. So we could, I think if you left that with us for a little while, we could go back and retrieve some information and see if we can come up with an opportunity to create or set up this committee again. Because I do believe that it's a good committee. And I think that during my tenure with the city, that committee was in place. But I know that I think the meetings started to dwindle, or They might have, it might have been difficult to coordinate times, I'm not sure, but I think there might be interest to want to reinvigorate that group, so we could look into that.
Thank you.
We could all blame it on COVID as well. We blame everything else on COVID.
And you know,
so-
it was harder to cross the bridge in the old days than it is now.
Well, we also are working with Akwesasne on homelessness as well, so it's,
Right.
and that's something that both communities are working on. So there are things that come up that we do work together on.
Wonderful.
Are there any other questions? All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is a notice of, or a new business motion filed by Councillors Elaine McDonald and Justin Towndale. Whereas in December of 2015, the federal government committed all of Canada, every level of government, and all sectors of society to accept a Truth and Reconciliation report and implement the 94 calls to action. Whereas September 30th has now been proclaimed the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. Whereas the first principle of the Truth and Reconciliation report confirms that the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, we can call them UNDRIP, is the framework for reconciliation for all sectors of Canadian society. Whereas since 2015, responses to the calls to action have been only incrementally implemented across Canada and at various levels of government and sectors of society. Whereas some Canadian municipalities have formally adopted the UNDRIP as a demonstration of their commitment to the 10 principles of reconciliation and their acceptance of the 94 calls to action. Therefore, now be it resolved that the City of Cornwall formally adopt the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples in recognition of its centrality of UNDRIP to the entire Truth and Reconciliation document, and as evidence of our municipality's intention to undertake and affirm the process of reconciliation to which we are called in the Truth and Reconciliation report.
Thank you. That's, that won't be debated, right? That's a notice of motion.
No, apparently not. It's a motion. I conferred with the clerk, and since it doesn't affect our laws or our bylaws or our finances, that it could be introduced as a motion, though I did in the title put both possibilities, but I hadn't spoken to Ms. Levesque by that time. But since I've clarified that it is a motion.
So it's a no business motion. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Councilor
So
McDonald.
I move it, and as we said, Justin seconds it.
Right.
And in a sense, it's kind of ironic if a motion is extremely important and far-reaching, we introduce it first by a notice, and then 2 weeks later, we entertain it as a motion. And even though this one is, in a sense, light enough to come here to the table as a motion initially, I think it's one of the most important we can consider, because the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report and its carrying out is going to be with us, I'm sure, for our lives long and probably even longer. So this is huge. And I think this particular aspect of it is huge because the main thrust of the Truth and Reconciliation report is a call for us to educate ourselves and to become culturally sensitive and gain insights into Indigenous peoples. And so we come to this Declaration of Human Rights, which the report calls the framework for anything we're going to do. And I think that it's important for this reason. We have a Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but interestingly enough, our charter is founded on the concept of individual rights, whereas Indigenous people have a sense of collective and communal rights to an extent that we don't have. And therefore, it's really important for us in this huge educational process that we're undertaking that we perceive Indigenous people in the light of this really important feature of their character and personality and customs and culture. So even though this is a light enough motion to be made here tonight on the first go-around, I think it's extremely far-reaching and important, and I urge my colleagues to support it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Towndale?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think I could put any better than my colleague, Councillor McDonald. This is an important matter, but as she said, ironically, we can get it passed without a notice of motion. I think, she said it well, this is the first step before we do anything, really. And this comes out of the Truth and Reconciliation report. And this report came out years ago, and there hasn't been much action at other levels of government. We know this, but locally we can do things. We may be limited in some of that scope, but we can do this. And I think this is a important step that we have to take in order to really solidify our partnership with our neighbors, especially in Akwesasne, but not just here, across the country. We can set an example for other municipalities and other levels of government to take steps forward in that respect. Thank you.
Any other comments? All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Bylaws. Bylaws 2021-94 and 2021-96 to 2021-105 inclusive, listed on the agenda and added to the agenda, are being presented to council for adoption.
Motion. Councillor Hebert, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
We are at the points where we will listen from councillors about standing, advisory, special, and ad hoc committees, Mr. Mayor.
Any reports? Councillor Gardner.
May not fit into what we're trying to do here at the end of the meeting. However, I did spend a day and a half, thanks to you, Mr. Mayor, on virtual conference with AMO, where discussions were about homelessness, affordable housing, internet connections, and on it went. And I appreciate you asking me to take that time and do that. I learned quite a bit about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe you can help us, because we're having a struggle with it as well, with homelessness. So. No other reports? Next.
Confirming bylaw. Bylaw 2021-106, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the City of Cornwall at its meeting held this evening, September 13th, is being presented to council for adoption.
Motion. Councillor McIntosh, Councillor Gardner, all in favor? Thank you. Have a good evening and a good meeting.
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Sorry.